Our first speaker will be Yaron Samid from BillGuard. Yaron is a serial entrepreneur, and with his founder, Raphael Uzan, their company is harnessing the unique powers of crowdsourcing to monitor and resolve bad charges on credit cards. Yaron?
Thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. Let me actually start by Maria saying thank you for this just unprecedented opportunity. We are honored to be part of the program, and it is amazing to be in front of you this morning. I'm going to start with a confession. I am not a FinTech guy. I have spent 15 years of my life building large consumer internet companies. I'm pretty good at building products that people love and that leverage the network effects of the internet to disrupt existing industries. But 2 years ago, on this credit card, literally this credit card, I was hit by what's called a post-transaction scam. My wife had purchased tickets at Ticketmaster and then clicked a coupon, $10 off coupon, at the end of the purchase, at which point she was subscribed, unbeknownst to her, to a $12.89 charge every month, and it kept on going for about 6 months. Now, I am what you call a slacker. I do not check my credit card bills, okay? And if I were to ask this audience here today, how many of you check your credit card and debit card bills, line item by line item, every single month? How many would raise their hand? Okay, about 10%. That's exactly what the data shows. Now, what did I do when I found this charge? By the way, I found it because a friend called me up and said, hey, there's this interesting scam going around, check your card. And I was like, oh, I never check my bills, but I'll do it. So I do it, and I see this charge, WLV reservations, $12.98, 6 months back, over $60-some in charges, and I Google it. You know what happened when I Googled it? Blog post after blog post, tweet after tweet, complaint board after complaint board, consumers complaining about this very same charge. Now, I had a very lazy idea. That idea was, if all that data is out there and people are complaining about being ripped off or having billing errors or deceptive charges or fraud on their cards, why couldn't I have been told? Wouldn't it be great if I could sit back and get an alert anytime a charge on my credit card bill was flagged by anyone else out there on theirs? Now, this idea might sound remotely familiar, because when I started researching the industry, I realized that there was an adjacent industry that had figured out this methodology about a decade ago. It was the anti-spam industry. You see, for years, engineers were toiling away on a better algorithm to figure out what's an email you wanted and an email you didn't want. Then a guy by the name of Vipul Prakash came along and said, you know what? Why don't we ask consumers? Why don't we put a little checkbox next to every email and let consumers mark bad emails as spam? You take that data upstream, you run a bunch of algorithms against it, and you weed out bad emails for everyone. We are doing the exact same thing for transactions on credit cards and debit card bills. So the first thing I did, so these guys messed with the wrong guy, right? I'm this internet guy with some friends in the industry, is put together a team. My co-founder is one of the world-renowned cybersecurity experts. He built a team from his experience in the Israeli military intelligence unit dealing with massive data sets of the most sensitive kind. And we have today arguably some of the best mathematicians and data scientists in the world. We went on and raised money from the top thinkers in the world, including Vinod Khosla, Peter Thiel, PayPal's founder, and Eric Schmidt, Google's chairman. And our first round was led by Bessemer Venture Partners, arguably the best FinTech security venture fund out there today. A bunch of great angel investors and some amazing advisors, including one of my personal heroes, Tim O'Reilly. I basically built around me a team of folks who understood how to harness the network effects of the internet specifically for FinTech security. And the problem we were addressing is the fact that not just me, but millions of consumers lose billions every year to bad charges. Things like hidden fees, subscriptions you forget about. You signed up for a magazine a year ago, it renews once a year, you forgot about it, okay? But it's on your bill. Billing errors, this happens all the time, software glitches, and lastly, fraud. Now, what we discovered was that it wasn't only consumers that had a problem, but also banks. Banks pay about $50 to process a chargeback when we call them. not only were they in pain, but merchants who were getting hit with fees when banks got involved in resolving these calls from consumers were also losing a lot of money. So what did we do? We built a system that, first of all, checks your bills for bad charges, and second of all, connects you directly to merchants for immediate resolution. Hassle-free resolution. Not a phone call that takes weeks to resolve. A direct connection to a merchant to resolve the problem. Now, how do we do it? There are terabytes of data on the internet of people complaining. Complaint boards, blog posts, etc. Even more so, by the end of the day today, about 100,000 people will call their bank and complain about a bad charge on their bill, either a billing inquiry or a billing dispute. We take all that data, which today, guess what's happening with it? For the bankers in the audience, you know, you have your own siloed databases of billing complaint data. It's sitting there collecting dust. Okay? All the complaints on the internet, also, it's just out there. It's not benefiting the most important person of all, which is you. Nothing is happening with that data. We said, what if you combined it? And we built the National Bill Monitoring and Resolution Network, okay? Akin to the anti-spam solution that finally got rid of spam. Here's how it works. We collect data, complaint data from multiple sources. First of all, we added a little checkbox next to every charge on an e-bill so that a consumer can click a button and mark as deceptive charge, forgotten subscription, billing error, scam, fraud, misleading advertising, etc., etc. We collect data from banks directly with a simple solution that lets consumers, instead of calling you, send a billing complaint directly to us for handling and resolution with consumers. And lastly, we've built incredible technology for taking existing chatter all over the internet, distilling it, making it normalized, and dropping it into the same database. On top of that, we layered about 10 patents worth of big data analytics algorithms. With that, we scan consumer credit card bills daily. It's free. I recommend, if you take nothing away from what I do today, go to BillGuard.com and sign up, register your cards, and see what's on there. 1 in every 4 people who do so save somewhere around $40 in their first scan. Okay, we've saved our beta testers in the first year over $700,000 with this methodology. When we send an alert to an email to a consumer, they give us feedback. This is another layer of crowdsourcing. Our algorithms take a best guess, it's good or bad, and then a consumer via email says it's good or bad, thereby further teaching our self-learning algorithms how to become more and more accurate. With each new user, the system gets more intelligent. Now, this was the original product, okay? And I want to stop for a moment and give a lot of credit to the FinTech Innovation Lab program, because we went out and we said, hey, this is the way the world should work. And bankers should deploy this in their banks. Consumers shouldn't have to come to BillGuard.com to get protection for their cards. Their bank should give it to them. And we spoke to a bunch of banks, and we got a lot of exciting meetings. Okay, I show up in a t-shirt. I'm kind of a different guy. People like to take the meeting. But nothing happened. Things weren't moving. We got into the 36-month cycle of a queue, right? Then we learned that the second component of what we do, helping consumers get their money back, was the right way to start with banks. This is what we learned at the FinTech Innovation Lab program. We learned what not to sell to banks and what to. What we do for banks is offer a simple link, and I'll show you a quick screenshot, that enables consumers to click and resolve billing inquiries and disputes. Those disputes go via email to merchants with a 70 to 80% response rate. And think about why for a moment. A merchant who is being told that a charge is about to become a chargeback has the opportunity to settle out of court, which is always less expensive. Because when they get hit with a chargeback, it doesn't matter whether they win or lose the dispute. They're going to get hit with a chargeback fee, typically around 20 to 25 bucks. We send the dispute to the merchant. Merchant can contact directly via our system the consumer and reach resolution at a fraction of the cost to the merchant. That's our business model. We figured out a way to only make money when we save our consumers money. The beauty of this is it also feeds the system, and we're getting constantly more intelligent data back into our analytics engine. This is how the bank system works. We basically put up 2 roadblocks. Today, you have a system where 100% of your calls go to you. You're dealing with it whether you have an online system or an offline system. 100% of the costs go directly to the bank. We put up 2 barriers of defense. Number 1, We use our crowdsourcing, our peer-to-peer knowledge sharing, to let consumers solve each other's problems. There's other people out there who've actually figured out what a charge is. And the majority of the calls you're getting are unrecognized charges. Okay? Second, we have our direct-to-merchant resolution system, which basically deflects those calls and, more importantly, that cost for your bank. We're in effect level 1 support now for the banks that we're currently in progress with pilots. Everyone saves. This is a classic win-win-win. Consumers click a button, get their money back. Banks lower their operating costs. Merchants save money on chargeback fees. Everybody wins. BillGuard makes a little money by being the central piece of the ecosystem, and that's how we work. Our consumer product we launched a year ago at BillGuard.com. You're all welcome to use it. It is incredibly simple in its face. It is remarkably sophisticated in its guts. Underneath this, as I mentioned, are many patents and about 100 algorithms that will take and scan every transaction that comes in. This is live data, by the way, from 2 days ago from my credit card bill that's being scanned. Okay? You see a scan report on the right, which basically tells me of all the transactions that were scanned in the last 90 days. There was one particular charge that required my review. It's a very interesting charge from a company called freeshipping.com. When you check out from a retailer and you ask for the free shipping option, some retailers use a third party called freeshipping.com, which takes all of your credit card information, ships you the product for free, and then automatically subscribes you from then on to a $9.99 fee. And if you just today go and Google freeshipping.com, what you'll see is an unbelievable amount of complaints. If you do what normal people do when they have a charge they don't recognize, which is copy and paste the billing descriptor into Google, nothing will come up because it's unstructured data, except for a BillGuard page. Because what we did is actually open up all of our data. Okay? So our analytics are available to anyone. If you search Google for a charge you don't recognize, you'll land on a BillGuard Transaction Resolution Center page, which will then enable you to resolve that problem directly with the merchant, further feeding our central brain. This is a theoretical example of how a bank could theoretically use BillGuard. If you look in the bottom right corner, you see our simple resolve link. Our product is called BillGuard Resolve for banks. That's all we do with the banks. Okay? Very simple. One link. No transaction transferred, none of that. That will come in time. First, what we do is this little link that when a consumer clicks it, and you simply drop it into your details panel of the transaction. The consumer clicks that link, and then directly inside the bank, we have our resolution center. 2 tabs. First one, peer-to-peer knowledge sharing. Okay? This is where consumers, and this is live data, consumers are actually answering each other's questions to figure out what a charge is on their bill when they don't recognize it. They're helping each other. You can leverage them. It's an immensely cost-efficient thing to do. It's free. Okay? Number 2 is when you want to dispute the charge, you fill out a simple form. We let merchants, by the way, add fields that they want to get about the charge from the consumer to expedite the process. They click submit, merchant gets an email, consumer gets an email back, consumer clicks the resolve button, the issue is closed at no cost to the bank. We are estimating between 25 to 50% cost reduction in operating costs for banks dealing with billing inquiry and dispute processing. Just imagine for your bank what that means in terms of cost savings. We've been very fortunate to have won lots of awards. A year ago when we launched our product, we were at TechCrunch Disrupt. We were the runner-up for that year. We've also won consecutive Finovate Best of Shows, and were recently inducted into the Online Banking Report Hall of Fame as one of the top online banking innovations of all time. And one of the ones I'm most proud about, we were awarded the Big Data Startup of the Year by the Strata Conference. That's the O'Reilly Media Conference. Let me end in saying this. In 3 months, we became a FinTech company. Okay? We were a consumer company trying to do personal finance security. In 3 months, thanks to Maria and her team and our mentors, by the way, I want to point them out. American Express, Bank of America, Capital One, some amazing mentors at the C level, which we would never have gotten access to hadn't we been a part of this program. Basically, took us through puberty in 3 months. Literally. And we know now how to work with a bank. We figured that out in 3 months. It probably would have taken us about 3 years. And so I want to say, really, sincerely, thank you. Thank you, guys.